Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Royal Canadian Dragoons change of appointment signing ceremony between Chief Warrant Officer Jeremy Leamon and Chief Warrant Officer Stéphane Larouche. We appreciate you joining us today from across the country to share in this significant moment for our regiment. The outgoing Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, was born and raised in Port aux Basques, Newfoundland. Initially joining the primary reserve as a member of the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, he transferred into the regular force in 1991. After completion of basic training and trades qualifications, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon was posted to A Squadron of the Royal Canadian Dragoons. Remaining with the regiment until 2004, he served in multiple positions, highlighted by his time as the crew commander of 1-2 Charlie Plow Tank. In addition to various squadron, regimental, combat team, and brigade level exercises, he was fortunate to deploy on various operations, including Operation Deliverance to Somalia in 1992, Operation Cavalier in 1994, Operation Alliance in 1998, and Operation Palladium in 2004, all in the former Republic of Yugoslavia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. In 2005, after attending a year of French training, he was posted to the Royal Canadian Armoured Corps School in Canadian Forces Base Gagetown, occupying various positions while instructing on multiple courses that encompassed the various levels of training within the Armoured Corps. In 2009, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon returned to Petawawa and deployed to Afghanistan with the Operational Mentor and Liaison Team as the Operations Warrant Officer. In 2011, he returned to the Royal Canadian Armoured Corps School, instructing at the Patrol, Troop Warrant Officer, and Troop Leader levels. In 2013, he returned to Petawawa and was appointed B Squadron Sergeant Major, which was appointed as the 2 Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group Reconnaissance Squadron and participated in Exercise Maple Resolve 2014 as part of the Road to High Readiness. In 2015, he was assigned the duties of the Technical Quartermaster Sergeant. In 2016, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon was posted to the Strategic Joint Staff at the strategic level in Ottawa, and in 2017 attended his level CBC French course in Petawawa. From 2018 until present, he was appointed the Regimental Sergeant Major of the Royal Canadian Dragoons. Chief Warrant Officer Leamon was appointed to his new position as the 2nd Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group Sergeant Major on September 4th, 2020. Chief Warrant Officer Leamon contributes his success from the support of his lovely wife Rhonda, son Jordan, and his passion to serve. The incoming Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Stéphane Larouche, was raised in Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec, before joining the Canadian Armed Forces as a crewman in the fall of 1990. After completing basic training in Saint-Jean and his QL3 course at Canadian Forces Base Gagetown, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche was badged 12e Régiment Blindé de Canada and was posted to Valcartier in the spring of 1991. During his first regimental tour, he was employed in almost every position within the reconnaissance squadron, deploying 3 times to Bosnia as a Cougar driver in 1993, as an SQMS corporal in 1995, and as the Sergeant Major's driver in 2002. In 1998, he had the unique opportunity to deploy to Central Africa as a combat radio operator with 5 headquarters in Signal Squadron. Appointed to the rank of Master Corporal in 2003, he completed his baseline as a crew commander and completed a full year of second language training prior to being posted to the Royal Canadian Armoured Corps School in 2005, where he was employed in various instructor and staff positions until his promotion to Warrant Officer. Returning to regimental service in 2009, he completed his Troop Warrant Officer time as a Tank Troop Warrant Officer, which included a deployment to Afghanistan. Upon his return, he completed his baseline employment as the 12e Régiment Blindé de Canada A Squadron Operations Warrant Officer, before once again packing up the family and moving back to Gagetown, where he was subsequently employed as a G3 Operations Warrant Officer at the Combat Training Center from 2012 to 2015. Promoted to Master Warrant Officer in May 2015, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche served as the Sergeant Major of C Squadron of the Royal Canadian Dragoons, where he had the opportunity to complete various regimental exercises, in addition to instructing on the DP4 Sergeant Major course and participating in exercise Maple Resolve as part of the Road to High Readiness within the regiment in the spring of 2017. Posted to Ottawa during the annual posting season of 2017, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche served with the Director General Military Personnel, where he contributed to the MES review for the crewman trade. He arrived in Petawawa in 2019 as the Technical Quartermaster Sergeant, and in the summer of 2020, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche was promoted to his current rank and was appointed the 49th Regimental Sergeant Major of the Royal Canadian Dragoons. Chief Warrant Officer Larouche is married to Master Warrant Officer Jeannick Lariviere, who has just completed her Sergeant Major time with the Royal Canadian Dragoons and is now posted to 4th Canadian Division Support Group as the Garrison Sergeant Major. They have been together for 19 years and have 4 children across 3 provinces. Jeremy is now a Canadian Armed Forces member and works as an intelligence operator in Valcartier. Maud is working for New Brunswick Power in Fredericton. Marie-Ange and Isaac are still at school in Pembroke. The entire family enjoys traveling, both on and off duty, and love camping during their free time. We will now call upon the Commanding Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kirchhoff, the outgoing Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, and the incoming Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche, to come forward for the signing of the scrolls. The outgoing Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, will now commence the passing of the Regimental Sergeant Major's pay stick to the incoming Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche. The Commanding Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kirchhoff, will now address the ceremony.
Good morning, everybody. I've previously said that the bond between a commanding officer and the RSM is unlike any bond you'll find anywhere else in the military. You confide in one another, you trust one another, and you advise one another in a way that is unique. The RSM is the symbolic pinnacle of a fighting unit. Every soldier watches you for guidance, to set the example in tone and action. And RSM Leamon, you have never disappointed. It's impossible to calculate the number of soldiers advised, careers helped, and officers lightly adjusted during your time as the RSM. You're only the 48th to hold this job in the 137 years of our regiment's history. I've known RSM Leamon since my first days in the regiment when I arrived as a brand new troop leader and he was that Charlie Tank Crew Commander 1-2 Charlie. We worked together again at the Armor School teaching, and when he was the head of the Op4 element. And Rhonda's been cutting my hair since I first arrived in Petawawa a long time ago. Both of you truly personify what it is to be a Dragoon family. From the warm welcome you give everybody you meet, to the sacrifices each of you have made for one another's success. RSM Leamon, I was looking forward to being able to work with you over the next year, developing our partnership, continuing to work together here and overseas as a command team, but we just ran out of time. While we were a command team for only a few weeks, you and I had several long talks about what we wanted to accomplish, our priorities, our intent for the next year or so, and you've already helped me immensely to get comfortable in this job, to be aware of my responsibilities and the visibility that this role presents. Just as you've done for all these other soldiers and officers during your time. You've advised them selflessly for years, long before you became the RSM. And what I think all of us appreciate about you is the thoughtful way that you lead. Loudership is not leadership. While you can bring the hammer down when required, you have many more effective tools in your toolbox. You've continued a fine tradition of excellence in your craft. Our entire regiment is fortunate to have had you. And now the rest of 2 Brigade gets to experience the reason for our unit's strength and morale. Congratulations on your appointment as 2 CMBG Sergeant Major. It's well deserved. We all look forward to your continued success and your support for all Dragoons. RSM Larouche, you and I are still getting to know one another, but a week in the field does a lot to build that relationship. Your recent experience as TQ only a few months ago means you know our Dragoons and they know you. Your previous experience as Sergeant Major C Squadron deepens that arrangement. You're a fantastic addition to the story of our regiment as our 49th RSM. Your wife, Janik, who's a Sergeant Major of the Dragoons in her own right. And the rest of your family are rightly proud of what you've accomplished. The next generation of Dragoons is looking to you for leadership and guidance. You've been well trained, well developed, and prepared for this next challenge. I'm proud to have you as my command team partner. Thank you to both of you, and congratulations.
The outgoing Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, will now address the ceremony.
Phew. Colonel of Regiment, General Atkinson, Commanding Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kirchhoff, incoming RSM, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche, and your lovely wife, M.W. Riviere, Isaac, and Marie-Ange, my fire team partner in life, Rhonda, Dragoons, family, friends, and guests present, and those of you joining us virtually. As the RSM, there were many opportunities where I could advise and influence decision-making, but unfortunately, I had no control over the object of time. And my time, as you can see, of wearing the black beret and Springbok of 30 years and appointed as your RSM for the past 2 years has come to an end. During my appointment parade in 2018, I stated that the regiment would be presented with many challenges, that we would be called upon by the Government of Canada to help Canadians in need, that we would be challenged in training, we would be challenged in everyday life. But I also knew the regiment would be prepared for those challenges in fine Dragoon fashion. And I can tell you, mission accomplished. As your RSM, I couldn't be prouder of your success. To the OCs, Sergeant Majors, Operation Officers, ADJs, RQs, to the Quartermasters, the Maintos and ETs, and all the senior NCOs over the past 2 years, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your compassion to our soldiers, and thank you for your leadership approach of coaching and mentorship. You have all exceeded an amazing job of developing your subordinates and training your future replacements, our institution for the future. I also understand this was not an easy task, especially in this COVID environment. People like Sergeant Hackworth, Warrant Domovic, Sergeant Bigney, Sergeant Obey, Master Corporal Guzman, and Sergeant Folks, I want to thank you for your time and effort in taking our regimental gunnery training to the next level. I have always believed that fundamental and foundational training, like move, shoot, and communicate, are the key elements to our success. To our junior NCOs, your passion to learn, to exceed, your 100% effort, and can-do attitude made me proud daily to be your RSM. I will miss our interactions and our discussions, but I'll be watching from the sidelines. I wish you and all your families the best of luck in your future. To our troops deployed on operations around the world, you're doing an amazing job. Keep doing what you're doing, and looking forward to seeing you back safe at the end of your mission. To our ERE soldiers all across Canada, hey, thanks for your hard work. I know it's hard, and it can be frustrating at times, but your dedication in places like the Armored School, RSS units, to training centers like in Meaford, we appreciate what you do. To the RSM designates like MWO Rayum, MWO Macovina, MWO Marshall, and MWO Elliott, thanks for allowing me to reach out to you on occasion to conduct some business on behalf of myself. Thanks for interviewing our troops, looking after our troops in those regions, and organizing visits when the CO and I were in town. Thank you. The position of the Regimental Sergeant Major is one of which that comes with great responsibility. And even today, I remain humbled that I was appointed to the position. The regiment has accomplished many great achievements in the past 2 years, and there are some individuals and groups of people that it's important that I take the time to thank. To the Colonel of the Regiment, General Atkinson, on so many levels, sir, thank you to you and Diana for the support you gave Ron and I. Your dedication, support, involvement in the regiment's activities. I would also like to especially thank you for your devotion to the Guild and the bounds you moved its mission forward with projects like our book, support to our regimental family, and investing into our history and heritage. Thank you for your support to our cadet affiliations, and most importantly, thank you for the support to the families of our regiment. I look forward in continuing working with you and the Guild when required. To our commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kirchhoff, Teresa, and Emily. Even though our command time together was only for a short period, Ron and I truly did appreciate the time we did get to spend with you and refostering our friendship. We wish you the best of luck during your command, both as the commanding officer and as the task force commander. To the 57th commanding officer and my fire team partner for 2 years, Lieutenant Colonel Marawal, and his amazing wife, Renelle. I still remember the first day we sat together and discussed our vision. From that moment forward, our microchips were turned on and engaged. Thank you for your leadership, guidance, and friendship. I know firsthand that every decision you made as the CO always took into consideration our troops and their families. You understood the impact of your decisions, and I appreciate you always including me in that thought process. I will always remember our trips on the road and our visits to Mighty Sea Squadron and our participation in the Bennett Memorial Golf Tournament. Both you and Renelle will always be considered friends of Ron and I wish you all the best in the future. To our honorary patron of the regiment, Mr. David Batten and wife Heather, thank you as well for the support you have both shown Ron and I, not only during the past 2 years, but for many more. Thank you both for the support and dedication to the soldiers and their families of this fine regiment. Your hard work had a direct impact on many lives, and we are a stronger institution for having you both as a part of it. Simultaneously, I would like to reach out to Mr. David Leclerc and our friends of the regiment. Thank you all for your continued support to our regimental family. It's much appreciated and does not go unnoticed. When times are safer, I am sure a visit will be in order. I'd also like to thank a few individuals for always reaching out to me, check in with me, and allowing me the opportunity to reach out to them for advice when required, like Mr. Dennis Levesque, a former RSM and the current RCD Association president, Captain Retired Tom Skelding, the Milner family, the Mercer family, and last but not least, the Christensen family. Thanks to you all for your support and friendship over the years. It was appreciated. To my fire team partner, To my fire team partner in life, Rhonda, this appointment was truly just as much yours as it was mine. Thanks for the support you not only gave to myself, but the amazing support you provided the commanding officers and the soldiers of this regiment. Like the many soldiers who sat in your barber chair and were having a bad day, and your quick 10-minute chat would lift their spirits. The various out-of-town functions you attended in support of the regimental family, and the soldiers you welcomed into our home for a meal when they had no family in the area for holiday occasions. You never missed a beat, and I thank you immensely for your dedication to this regiment. I'd also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge another fine Dragoon and someone that has always inspired me, and that is Trooper Don White. Mr. White, you're amazing. You're an amazing individual and an inspiration not only to the soldiers of this regiment, but to all Canadians everywhere. You and Heather are always in my thoughts, and I was very happy to hear you were recently presented with the Quilt of Valor from Mrs. Galabois. I'm looking forward to the future when we can speak in person again. But until then, stay safe, Dragoon. No stranger to the regiment, and someone I consider a very close friend, both personally and professionally, and someone that I have known throughout my complete 30-year career, and that is Muggsy. Muggsy, you have always been someone that has brightened my day when life was rushed, reminding me to slow down, embrace the moment, someone that I could discuss pretty much anything with, always attentive and always full of life and spirit. Thank you for not only being an amazing friend to myself, but for being an amazing ambassador of our regiment. Love you to death, and I always told you, wait until I leave before you retire. Staff, CO, sorry. Speaking of Chief Warrant Officer Larouche, Steph, MWO Le Riviere, Janique, Isaac, and Marie-Ange. First and foremost, félicitations on the appointment as the 49th Regimental Sergeant Major. We have known and worked with each other in some capacity for over 20 years. You are both people that I consider a friend, and I couldn't have been prouder when your appointment was announced. It is not oblivious to me that the sacrifices that your family has given over the years, both personally and professionally, and I truly appreciate the support you had shown myself and the regiment this past year. The regiment is without a doubt in great hands. Best of luck with the RCD Battle Group, and moreover, your time as the RSM. Ron and I are just a phone call away, and never hesitate if you both need anything. It is tradition in the regiment that once an RSM departs, their picture is placed on a wall in the Sergeant Holland room next to the other great RSMs. And at the bottom of the picture, the years 2018-2020 will be written. But believe it or not, the most important part of the picture, to me, is the smallest of details, and that is that little dash. The dash, the dash between the years represents our journey together. The memories I'll always carry with me. The friendships I have fostered, the camaraderie I've enjoyed, the challenges we overcame, and the history we made together. Thanks for being a part of my journey, and thanks for allowing me to be a part of yours. In closing, I have just one small last request. I think we can all agree we are in unprecedented times in this COVID environment. The likes no one has ever seen before. I would ask you to reach out to one another. Reach out to an old friend, maybe a comrade you lost touch with, and conduct a buddy check. Long, cold winter months are just around the corner, and sometimes just a familiar voice, a text, or an email can make the world a difference. As I've always said, always live in the moment, but always think 2 bounds out. Bold and swift. Thank you.
The incoming Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche, will now address the ceremony.
Colonel of the Regiment, General Atkinson, CO, Brigade Sergeant Major, Rhonda, good to see you here this morning, Yannick, Marie-Ange, Isaac. For all of you who are watching online, good morning. Avant de commencer, j'aimerais dire un bonjour spécial à ma mère, mes sœurs et mon frère au Québec, à Yannick en Nouvelle-Écosse, Jérémy à Valcartier et à Maud au Nouveau-Brunswick. J'aurais aimé que vous soyez présents ici aujourd'hui, mais je pense que vous avez maintenant l'habitude de nos multiples déménagements. De plus, le COVID n'est pas la cause pour 2020. J'aimerais vous dire merci de votre support depuis toutes ces années. Today is a great day for me, and you cannot imagine how proud and humble I am to become the 49th Regimental Sergeant Major of this great regiment. I worked hard during the last 30 years, but there is no way I can achieve this alone. For this reason, I would like to thank my kids for all the support you're giving to your mom and I since we started this journey almost 19 years ago. You've always been good kids, even with all the move we impose to you. I'd like to thank you. I love you. Yannick, I know you're missing another tour because of me, and I'm very sorry. We're going to deal the paddle board later. We moved so many times that we have kids in 4 different provinces. We switched them to school so many times that I lost the count. I will never tell you enough, but thank you for everything you've done and still doing to support me. Je t'aime et merci d'être à mes côtés depuis toutes ces années. But today, wow. As I said, I'm so proud and humbled to be appointed as the RSM of this fantastic regiment. CO, I'm looking forward to be deployed on the next rotation in Latvia and working on your side. You just came back from Iraqi in theater, and we just started working together, but I've got no doubt that we will be a good and effective common team. Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, Jeremy, once again, congratulations on your appointment as the Brigade Sergeant Major. I cannot think about a better person to be in this position. We worked together in Gagetown in the past. Last year I was your TQ, and now I'm one of your unit RSM for the brigade. This is a great honor for me to be the RSM after you and still be able to working with you at the brigade. To the troop, working during this pandemic, it's not easy for you, but you're still motivated and willing to come to work every day. I'm very proud of you and very happy to be your RSM. At any time, if you have a question or just want to chat with me, please don't hesitate. Finally, I really want to thank the regiment to give me this time life opportunity. This is a very good day to be a Dragoon. Bold and swift.
As is tradition in the regiment, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon will now present his wife Rhonda Leamon with flowers on behalf of the regiment. As a gesture to welcome them into the regiment, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche will now present his wife, Jeannick Lariviere, with flowers on behalf of the regiment. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the departure of the outgoing Regimental Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Leamon, and his wife, Rhonda Leamon. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Royal Canadian Dragoons 2020 Change of Appointment signing ceremony. On behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Kirchhoff, Chief Warrant Officer Larouche, and all ranks of the Royal Canadian Dragoons, thank you for viewing today's ceremony.